The Shark Deck.
I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. The Writers Guild has failed to come to a deal with the Alliance of Motion Pictures and TV Producers. That means there's a writer's strike. Initially, what you'll see is the late night shows have gone dark. At the time of this recording, it's unclear what Saturday Night Live will do this week. Guest host Pete Davidson. Keep an eye on that. So we won't have late night jokes for a while. I've asked the ChatGPT to write some. From the chatbot, the writer's strike is causing a lot of tension in Hollywood. You can cut the tension with a knife, which, ironically, is one of the only things the writers are allowed to use. Now, that's a good joke, but I'll point out the strike is about using AI to write jokes, but the AI just wrote a good joke, so I don't know how this is going to play out here. One more. I'm not saying that relying on an AI to write my jokes makes me lazy, but I asked it to come up with some jokes, and it wrote, "Why did the comedian cross the road? To avoid having to write his own material." Sam Morrell tweeted, "Writers deserve more respect. People worship actors, but they're nothing without writers. Writing is harder than acting. There were child actors. There were no child writers." On the Joe Rogan Experience, his guest was Dave Smith, and they talked about Joe Rogan's comedy mothership Comedy Club. Rogan discussed the naysayers. There was a lot of people saying, "You're not opening a club. It's BS. It's all BS." I knew once it got like, talk all this crap, because once this thing gets open, you're all going to want to come. And then once you can't, a lot of fear of missing out. He complimented Richard Weiss, the designer of the club, saying, "It's pretty dope." Well, it wasn't me. I mean, it sort of was, but it was a lot of people, and a lot of it Richard Weiss, the architect and designer. He's the man. He did an incredible job. Rogan said, "The whole thing's just very bizarre. You know, if it wasn't mine, I'd really be able to appreciate it." Apparently, tickets are moving so fast that it's bringing out the egos in comedians. Rogan said, "It's been a problem, though, because, you know, a lot of people want to come. Some of them are weird. They want a headline, and, you know, they're not really a headliner." Trevor Noah will executive produce an American version of the British series Mock the Week. That's a half-hour program that combines elements from talk shows, stand-up comedy sessions, and improv games. Two sets of comedians play each other in a bid to satirize current news and events and popular culture. Mock the Week has run in the UK for 15 years. Production won't start till next year. The host will be announced at a later date, but Trevor Noah said, "Two things I'm most passionate about in life are paying my landlord and making people laugh. We could all use a little bit more laughter as we continue to navigate today's crazy world." Conan O'Brien getting his own TV channel. This is one of those channels you'll find on streaming boxes that plays things in real time, like in olden times with commercials, you know, linear TV kind of. Conan O'Brien getting into the fast lane, setting up an exclusive launch on Samsung TV Plus of a channel comprised of 30-minute compilations and other clips from his late-night career. This from Deadline, the 24/7 Conan channel will feature footage from the TBS show's archives. Yeah, you wanted the NBC ones? Me too. Also, can we get this for Letterman, but only the NBC Letterman? Can we do that? These TBS clips will feature Conan's interviews with John Hamm, Ryan Reynolds, Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, Kevin Hart, Will Ferrell, Lisa Kudrow, Kate McKinnon, Justin Bieber, and others. Cool, but I feel like there's a better version of this to be had, meaning the NBC ones. Bill Hader is not going to sign your stuff. Here's why from The Hollywood Reporter. I didn't know that Bill Hader, by the way, Barry this week, awesome, say no more, watch it. Barry was credited as a voice consultant for BB-8 in Star Wars The Force Awakens? Really? Hader said, "I used to sign stuff. And then one time I saw somebody, they had their kid come up to me to sign a BB-8 thing, and it was 3 a.m. I was leaving the Inside Out premiere, and we went to an after-party thing, and it was super late, and this guy kept his kid up all night. He was like, go over there so he'll sign it, and I could sell it online." And I was like, that's messed up. And so now, I just kind of blanket like, I don't sign any of it. Jim Gaffigan talked to the New York Times about deep dish pizza. By the way, I was in Chicago last week. I didn't get the deep dish. Anytime I do a trip to Chicago and I don't hit one of the main deep dish places, I feel like I wasted a trip. But didn't happen, which means next time, it'll happen. Gaffigan says, "I have a long-distance love affair with Chicago deep dish pizza." Me too. It's got to be sausage deep dish. Me too, Jim. They're all good, but Luminati's delivers, and we've done that many times. Love Luminati's. Love it. Also, they have really good wings. What's confusing about Chicago deep dish pizza, I'm picturing somebody in Chicago now be like, "Illuminati's, are you kidding? What kind of stupid tourist?" I get it. I'm not from there. I don't know, man. There's Illuminati's close to where my daughter lives, and I go there, and it's good. Now, Giordano's, the last time I went to Giordano's, it took so long for the pizza to arrive, I had to leave. I had to leave my daughter behind, so she had like all this food finally come, 75 minutes later, because I had to catch my flight. And what's the one downtown by the river? It's got like a graffiti. Gino's East, right? Gino's East, that one's really good too. Again, the locals probably like, "You don't know what you're talking about." So tell me on the Facebook group. I'll go to your place. Just telling you, Lou's is a couple blocks from where she lives. Jim said, what's confusing about Chicago deep dish pizza is there's always way too much of it. No one needs to ever eat more than a piece, but you end up eating more than a piece, and I'm ridiculously selfish with it. Good point there, Jim. Plus, I usually have, a plate of wings while I'm waiting for the half hour for the pizza to bake, and by the time the pizza comes, I'm already full, but boy, I eat it. Jim says, I'll make sure there's other pizza that will be given to my children so that I can eat the deep dish, because I'm not going to waste that on a kid.
Hi, my name is TJ, and I host a daily radio show. I have a bunch of friends that join me for it every day, and believe it or not, we all still see hope in humanity. Are you one of these people too? We want to hang out with you. Just search for The TJ Show on your favorite podcasting platform, or join us at thetjshow.com. We would love to have you being hopeful about humanity with us. Here's a quick sample of what the show sounds like. Hey, welcome to The TJ. As you can tell, you need to hear more of it. Search for The TJ Show, and we can't wait to meet you.
If you like what I do here, buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. It's been a great week for the Buy Me a Coffee. I told you, Kara Wood bought me 3 coffees. Thank you, Kara. You paid for today's, but I left it upstairs in the fridge. I do have a bottle of water here, if you want to hear me shake some liquid on the mic like I usually do, but thank you, Kara, for that. She also shouted me out in her newsletter. You can get that for free, right? It's the Knock It Off Substack. Her most recent piece, called An Open Letter to Ronald Gladden, name checks me. Who's Ronald Gladden? He's the guy from Jury Duty. I finished Jury Duty Monday night. Did I finish it? Really good. Really enjoyed Jury Duty. My daughter and I were trying to figure out how you do that again, and the best we came up with was some version of A Night at the Museum. So we were walking around the Field Museum last week, and they closed, and we were like, what if we stayed? And then what if Night at the Museum was like real? And then we're like, that's Jury Duty Season 2. Thank you for the shout out, Kara. And believe me, I'm trying to find a way to read the title, An Open Letter to Ronald Gladden, and read it in a way that makes it sound a little dirty. Can't figure it out. Best I can do is lean in on the word open. An open letter to Ronald Gladden. You can make anything sound naughty if you do that. Also, speaking of Chicago and stuff, Becky, she bought me 3 coffees. Thank you very much, Becky. I'll be in Chicago a few more times this summer. I will try and say hi. Maybe I'll buy you a beverage. Anyway, buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. Isaac left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you, Isaac. He wrote, great show. Good variety of news about comedy specials. Thank you very much. Now over on the Facebook group, which is Daily Comedy News Podcast Group, always happy when you guys chime in. Becky commented on my thoughts about the Mulaney special. Becky wrote, my thoughts in no particular order. Boy, sober John Mulaney talks a lot slower than strung out John Mulaney. I appreciated his honesty and humility. He seemed humbled by his addiction. I hope he's okay. I also respect him for trying to change an image he's outgrown or was never him in the first place. She also pointed out more clapter than laughter. Yeah, I noticed that one. Shannon wrote, I saw the live show twice, so most of the material was already familiar, so it couldn't really be that funny. Mulaney's delivery is always fun to watch, though. And Nichelle wrote, hi, Nichelle, thank you for listening. Nichelle wrote, you were right. It feels performative. I wish he talked about being a new father because that's where his heart is. It's what he posts about on Instagram. And I thought about it more. I think what I'm picking up here is it felt more like a one-man show, like a Colin Quinn show or a Mike Birbiglia show than stand-up. I'm struggling to express what I'm picking up on this one. Again, it's fine. It's entertaining. It's fine. I lasted 29 minutes. I'm not saying don't watch it. I am, in fact, saying the opposite. You should watch it. Mulaney's very likable. We all know this. It just didn't grab me. I was also reflecting on Roy Wood Jr. as I listened to more and more clips of him hosting the White House dinner the other night. And I can't give him the Daily Show. I feel like that's going to be a swing and a miss. And I know he put in the work. And I don't know. Not the choice. Which reminds me, I lost an article. I meant to put this in the script. Here it is from People. Roy Wood Jr. says he's ready if Comedy Central taps him to host The Daily Show. Roy Wood said, I had a lot of fun guest hosting. It's been fun watching my fellow correspondents guest host as well. I don't know how Comedy Central is going to play it at the end of the day, but my job as an entertainer is like athletics. My job is to be ready. So if Comedy Central makes the call, I'm ready. If they don't, then hopefully somebody else makes the call, and I'm ready. So at the end of the day, it's just about being as sharp as possible and as funny as possible, and the rest of it's out of my control. The hemming and hawing you're hearing my voice, well, Joe Biden was funnier, so that's not good. Now, I'm laughing at myself because I was like, oh, yeah, you forgot to put the Roy Wood story in the script, and now I'm noticing, I have like 9 tabs open in Safari with things I didn't put in the script. Lewis Black does have a new special, the Tragically Underpromoted, Tragically I Need You. That's on YouTube. Maybe I'll watch that tonight, and I'm going to watch another one that I am about to tell you about. So Lewis Black is out on YouTube, In Tragically, I Need You, Lewis Black tells the world about his life since COVID. Lewis Black will be guest hosting The Daily Show in June. Boy, what is wrong with me? There's like 9 stories I didn't put in the script. Good news for me, though. Weekend shows are almost done then. All right, back to the actual script here. I've been picking away at that Vulture article with Ryan Williams. He was the booker on James Corden's show. By the way, James Corden, nice timing there with the writer strike, not affecting you. Vulture asked, why do you think the other late night shows, with the exception of Corden and The Tonight Show, have scaled back in booking comedians? Great question. Ryan Williams, the booker, said, when you're bringing a stand-up onto the show, you're really farming out 5 to 7 minutes to someone else's point of view. And if that's not important to you, I could see why you would want to give up that time to support someone else when you could be creating your own content. For us, we really wanted to make stand-up a big part of the show. It was important for us to prioritize elevating outside voices, but even from a production point of view, stand-up is so valuable because it's basically filling an act of the show where the writers don't have to write anything. Oh, okay. Hey, guess what we're going to see on a lot of late-night shows when they come back? So there are issues like, will people cross picket lines? But usually what happens is one of the late night shows decides to come back and write their own material. Conan came back early. Letterman came back early. I'm going to place $1 on it. It'll be Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, book some stand-ups and a band, and hey, we're back. I mean, they did the shows during COVID. They'll figure it out. All right, Ryan Williams, where do you see stand-up on late night going from here? Ryan said, a stand-up set for late night is a very specific animal. It's almost like a poem or a commencement speech where it has to be structured in a very specific way, and you've got to put a lot of time into running it to get it just right. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this At Midnight show. I remember when it aired, it put many hilarious people on my radar for the first time as a comedy fan. I think it has an opportunity to do that again. If At Midnight is able to celebrate those voices and make people look good, it could be a real revolution in late night comedy. But also, who wants to be associated with Twitter right now? I don't know how they're going to bridge that gap of just having an @ symbol in front of their name. Very interesting. Okay, the other special I'm planning on watching tonight. Greg Warren's The Salesman. This is the one produced by Nate Bargatze. Vulture reviewed it and made me really interested in it. The jokes apparently are all about peanut butter. Greg Warren is a former Procter & Gamble employee who spent 10 years selling Jif peanut butter, and he remains devoted to the product. Spoilers, and some specific jokes come up here in 3, 2, 1. Warren showcases his continued loyalty to the brand early on, roasting rival peanut butter company Peter Pan. Their mascot's a boy who refused to grow up. Maybe he couldn't grow up because he was malnourished because he was eating that garbage peanut butter named after a cartoon character. See, this is already fun. He pauses and says, listen, I'm going to talk a lot about peanut butter. Vulture writes, Warren has jokes about everything from the layer of oil and organic peanut butter to the experimental peanut butter flavors he dislikes to the differences between crunchy and creamy. He says, I always felt guilty because we charged the same for crunchy as we did for creamy. The crunchy, we didn't finish making that. The crunchy guys are probably getting off work at noon, and the creamy guys are still smashing up peanuts at 5:30. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm going to watch that one. I forgot to look at Sydney yesterday. I realized it late in the afternoon. Here's a show catching my eye. It is titled The Racist Immigrants. The reviews are pretty funny. 5 stars, go see the show, attributed to Kenyon Slur. An hour of unabashed comedy that'll leave you crying with laughter and questioning everything you know about immigrants and cultures as it attempts to break all stereotypes. That's a fun show, and I'm remembering now, I liked it when it was at Melbourne too. All right, you know what my tastes are. Move on. Rochester First says a comedy about Buffalo Bills fans has finalized filming in the Queen City. Unbelievable. We got to work on that title, guys. Unbelievable was shot in the Queen City, and it's all about the ups and downs Buffalo Bills fans have come to know. They finished filming on Sunday at Salvatore's. The coat room was transformed into a casino betting window. The fictional comedy, again, unbelievable, tells the story of one family with 3 generations of Buffalo Bills fans who've come together to watch the Bills play in the biggest game in team history. You know, they did go to 4 Super Bowls. How is this one bigger? The film is scheduled to be released this fall. Details on how you watch it still being finalized. All right, and that is your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.
Once in a generation, a new British royal dynasty takes shape. I am Mark Francis, host of Palace Intrigue, a daily podcast about the royal family, and the only place you can get all the news, gossip, and updates from inside and outside the palace. From Harry and Meghan in California to Kate and William in the UK, along with King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince Andrew, and the whole cast of characters. This coronation will be one for the ages, and we'll bring you every detail on every moment in just a few minutes, every day. Hear Palace Intrigue on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.